I used to think people made me angry. One rude comment, one careless action, and my whole day was ruined. I remember sitting in a meeting when someone cut me off and dismissed my idea. My heart started racing. My face got hot, and all I wanted to do was react. But then I realized something important. They didn't make me angry. I chose to feel that way. Between what happens and how you react, there's always a small space. I never noticed it before. I just reacted automatically. Now, I pause. Just one breath. I tell myself, okay, I'm feeling upset. I don't fight it. I just notice it. Then you ask, is this really worth my peace? In that moment, I take back control. I don't need to win every situation. I just need to stay calm. The world can be loud. People can be rude. But my peace is still my choice. And that choice is always mine. I used to believe that if I treated people well, they would do the same for me. I showed up for them. I helped when they needed me. I listened when they were struggling. But when I needed them, they weren't there. No reply. No support. Just silence. And that silence hurt. I kept asking myself, why are they like this? I would never treat them this way. But the truth is, they are not me. Everyone has their own mindset, values, and priorities. They don't think like me. They don't act like me. And expecting them to do so only led to disappointment. I realized something important. It wasn't their actions that hurt me. It was my expectations. When I stopped expecting people to act like me, I started feeling lighter. I can still be kind, but I don't expect the same in return. People are who they are, and that's okay, because my peace doesn't depend on them anymore. I used to feel like I always had to be right. In every argument, big or small, I wanted to prove my point. I thought if I was right, I would feel better. And yes, sometimes I won. But I still felt exhausted. The tension stayed. The relationship felt worse. And deep down, I wasn't at peace. So I started asking myself, what am I really trying to prove? Is being right actually worth it? I realized something uncomfortable. It wasn't about truth. It was about my ego. I didn't want to be wrong. I didn't want to feel small, so I held on to my opinions tightly. But the more I held on, the heavier I felt. Then one day, I tried something different. Instead of arguing, I paused, and I said, I see your point. Not because I agreed completely, but because I chose peace. And everything changed. The tension dropped. The pressure disappeared. I felt lighter. That's when I understood. Not every argument needs a winner. And being right doesn't always matter. Sometimes, peace matters more. Now I don't need to win every conversation. I just need to stay calm. And that has given me something better than being right. It gave me freedom. I used to let other people define my worth. One compliment made me feel confident. One negative comment made me doubt myself. I remember sharing an idea I truly believed in. Someone said, "That's not good." That was it, and I started questioning everything. Am I even good enough? Have I been wrong about myself all along? One opinion, and I lost confidence. Then I realized something painful. I gave them the power to decide my value. I let their words shape how I saw myself. I let their opinions control my confidence. But the truth is, they don't live my life. They don't know my full story. And they don't get to define who I am. So I started changing the way I think. When I hear criticism, I don't react right away. I ask myself, is this true, or just their opinion? If it helps me grow, I keep it. If not, I let it go. I learned to define my own worth, not from praise, not from approval, but from who I know I am, because if you don't define your value, someone else will, and when you truly know who you are, no one can shake you. I used to struggle to say no. Whenever someone asked for help, I said yes. Extra work, yes. Last-minute requests, yes. I thought I was being kind, but over time, I started feeling drained. My time wasn't mine anymore. My energy kept running out, and deep down, I felt frustrated, even though I was the one agreeing. That's when I realized something important: without boundaries, you lose yourself. So I tried something new. One day, I said, "I'm sorry. I can't help right now." My heart was racing. I felt guilty. I thought they might be upset. But nothing bad happened. The world didn't fall apart. The relationship didn't end. And I felt relieved. That's when I understood setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's self-respect. Now I choose where my time and energy go. Not everything deserves a yes. Because when I protect my energy, I can show up better for the things that truly matter. I used to care too much about what people thought of me. A compliment could make my day, but one negative comment could ruin it. I realized my emotions were in other people's hands. If they approved of me, I felt good. If they didn't, I started doubting myself, and that was exhausting. So I asked myself, why does their opinion matter so much? Do they really know me that well? That's when things started to change. Everyone sees the world through their own lens. Their opinions are shaped by their experiences, not my truth. When I understood that, I felt lighter. I stopped trying to please everyone. I stopped worrying about being liked all the time. Instead, I focused on one question: am I living in a way that feels right to me? And when the answer was yes, I felt grounded. I still listen to feedback, but I don't let it define me. I take what helps me grow and let the rest go. And surprisingly, when I stopped chasing approval, I felt more free than ever, more relaxed, more confident, more at peace. Because life isn't about being accepted by everyone. It's about being true to yourself. I used to think I had to respond to everything. If someone said something rude, I felt the need to fire back. If someone disrespected me, I wanted to defend myself. I thought staying silent meant weakness. But the more I reacted, the more I lost control. One comment could ruin my mood for hours. One argument could drain all my energy, and I was tired of it. Then one day, I tried something different. Instead of reacting, I stayed silent, not because I didn't have something to say, but because I chose not to let my emotions take over. At first, it was hard. Part of me wanted to argue, to prove my point, to win. But I stayed still, and something surprising happened. The tension faded. The situation calmed down. I realized silence isn't weakness. It's control. It's the ability to stay grounded, even when others try to provoke you. Now I don't respond to everything. Not every comment deserves my energy. Not every situation needs a reaction, because when I stay calm, I protect my peace. And more importantly, I stay in control of myself. There were days when everything felt wrong. Plans didn't work out. Someone said something that annoyed me. Small things kept piling up, and I felt overwhelmed. I used to focus on everything that went wrong, and the more I focused on it, the worse I felt. Until one day, I stopped. I asked myself, is there anything I can be grateful for right now? At first, it felt hard, but then I noticed I was still healthy. still hade jobb. I still had people in my life who cared about me. Those things were always there. I just wasn't paying attention. When I shifted my focus, my emotions changed. I felt calmer, lighter, more in control. That's when I learned something powerful. You can't feel grateful and angry at the same time. Gratitude doesn't remove your problems, but it changes how you see them. Now, whenever I feel frustrated, I pause and think of 3 things I'm grateful for, even small things, and it helps, because life won't always be perfect, but how you see it is always your choice. And when you choose gratitude, you create your own peace. I used to take criticism personally. Whenever someone pointed out my mistakes, I felt attacked. I wanted to defend myself right away. In my mind, I thought, they don't understand me. They're just being negative. But one day, I tried something different. Instead of reacting, I paused, and I asked myself, is there any truth in what they're saying? It wasn't easy. My ego wanted to reject everything, but when I really looked at it, I started to see something. Not all criticism is useless. Sometimes it shows you things you couldn't see before. That's when my perspective changed. Criticism isn't always an attack. Sometimes it's a mirror that helps you grow. Of course, not every comment matters. Some come from negativity or misunderstanding, but instead of reacting emotionally, I learned to filter it. If it helps me improve, I keep it. If it doesn't, I let it go. Now, criticism doesn't bother me like before. It became a tool, a way to reflect, to adjust, and to become better, because the truth is, you can't grow if you avoid discomfort. And sometimes, the hardest feedback is the most valuable. Once you change how you see criticism, you stop fearing it and start using it. I used to hold on to everything, the hurt, the unfair moments, the things people said to me. I thought remembering it would protect me. I thought holding on made me stronger. But it didn't. It only made me tired. I kept replaying those moments in my head, again and again, and each time it hurt just as much, until one day I asked myself, what am I really holding on to? And is it worth my peace? That's when I made a choice. I chose to let it go, not because they deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace. And in that moment, something changed. I felt lighter. I felt free. I realized something important. Holding on to anger doesn't hurt them. It only hurts you. Letting go isn't weakness. It's strength. It's saying, I'm not carrying this anymore. Because you can't move forward if you're still holding on to the past. When you let go, you create space to breathe, to grow, and to start again. And that's when I understood, letting go didn't just free the past, it freed me. And that's everything I've learned. From losing control of my emotions to slowly taking my power back. It wasn't easy, and I'm still learning every day, but step by step, I've become calmer, lighter, and more in control. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if your emotions keep pulling you in different directions, just remember this: you always have a choice. You can't control everything around you, but you can control how you respond, and that's where your power is. This is just the beginning of the journey. If you want to hear more real stories, deeper lessons, and things I learned the hard way, comment 1. I'll continue.